Welcome to News Video Clip. If you watched the World Cup this weekend, you know that Spain defeated Argentina in overtime. It was a pretty exciting game. And in fact, it was a perfect game until Trump, that big, fat 80-year-old slob, tried to photobomb Spain's victory picture. So let's watch the video, shall we?
In 2026, the champions of the world are Spain.
Is now, so they can edit him out of that.
So you hear an Australian announcer saying they can edit him out of that. And what he's referring to is editing Trump out of the picture. And thank God that's exactly what they did. As you can see, the final picture, they cut Trump off the side. It's only the Spain team that got in the final picture. Trump is nowhere to be seen. That 80-year-old, fat, out of shape loser who never should have even been on the field was not included. So that's wonderful. Thank you. All right, we're going to go to Washington, D.C. now for another fat, out of shape, fat loser, bald guy named Tom Homan, who is Trump's border czar. Now, last week we reported that Tom Homan promised more bloodshed by ICE against Americans. So let's watch this video in which he tries to defend ICE killing people for not complying.
Let's be clear, you can attack the men and women at ICE all you want. It comes down to one simple fact. These people fail to comply with law enforcement. Even some of the major chiefs in this country who don't necessarily agree with this administration says you always comply with law enforcement. But the hateful rhetoric that ICE isn't a real law enforcement agency. I see these signs that were resist. ICE are let's abolish them. They're fascists. When you keep that hateful rhetoric up for a year and a half, there's going to be that percentage of that part, that population that it's going to be emboldened to take action because they're not real law enforcement agency. I should resist them. All they had to do is simply comply with law enforcement. If you don't like what law enforcement did to you, then go to the courts.
Okay, so there we go. Fat ass Tom Homan, who uses hateful rhetoric himself. He likes to threaten Americans with more bloodshed. And there he is crying about other people supposedly using hateful rhetoric because they believe in lawfully resisting, nonviolently resisting ICE. People have every right to do that. People have every right in the world to notify their neighbors if ICE is nearby. That is guaranteed under the First Amendment. That is free speech. And Tom Homan's a fascist, and he doesn't like free speech. He's trying to silence everyone with all of his threats. And I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Tom, if you want to try to silence me, go for it. I'm already lawyered up, dude. So come and try to silence me anytime you think you're man enough to do it. All right, we're going to move on now to Jennifer Welch. She is one of the co-hosts of I've Had It, which is a great podcast. You should watch it. And last week, she was attacked by the Department of Education because she mocked some of these evangelical Christian homeschoolers who like to teach their kids crazy things like people and dinosaurs coexisting at the same time, like a Flintstones cartoon, and stuff like the Earth is only a few thousand years old. So last week she got attacked by the Department of Education. This week she got attacked by Fox News. So let's watch Jennifer.
And in the Fox News audience, I think the average age is 70 years old. These are people that like to feel scared all of the time. And most recently, they have been terrified about me, yours truly. And all of MAGA has been, quite frankly, for the last week. They're just in complete snowflake stage 5 meltdown mode. I mean, these guys are so soft. Here's a video of Brian Kilmeade and Tommy Lahren, and they're upset about my comments on homeschooling. Let's play the clip. As a crazy Christian problem.
Really?
Yeah, Brian, the problem we're seeing right now is the crazy Christian
Yes,
problem.
they're out of control.
That's what's going on in the streets.
You mean parents that want to get the workbooks, do the structure, and live at home and not be subjected to all the wokeness, or be subjected to the 30% passing competency in reading and writing and arithmetic. So that's a joke. Another reason why we don't watch. But sadly, she's very popular.
With some groups,
Right.
right? But maybe people watch her like they watch The View for entertainment and comedy purposes.
Right.
That's why I would watch it.
Thank you for watching it, Tommy. I really appreciate that. I want to remind you that Brian Kilmeade is the person who said that we should just euthanize homeless people. And I stand by it. The homeschooling that I was referring to is the crazy Christian homeschooling. It is trickle-down stupidity. You have to be dumber than a box of hot rocks to sit down with your kids and teach them that dinosaurs and man lived on the planet at the same time, that the earth is 5,000 years old, and on and on. But more than anything, the reason they're melting down so much about this is because homeschooling is inherently patriarchal, and it is a huge push of the fascist project because it keeps women at home. And over 90% of all homeschooling parents are the mother. You know, they don't want women to be out in the workforce to make their own money and have independence so they can divorce their piece of shit closet case husbands when they find out. No, they want the women at home, dead ass broke, homeschooling the kids. This is a patriarchal step of the fascist project. And I will just say to Brian Kilmeade and Tomi Lahren, do you homeschool your kids? Do you? Do you do that with a full-time job? What do you do? Do you do it at night? Do you start at 8 p.m. and end at 1, 2 a.m.? Is that how your family values go? So if you don't homeschool your kids, shut the fuck up, you two.
That's a perfect comeback by Jennifer Welch. And I'll add that Brian Kilmeade and Tomi Lahren are not even real journalists. Brian Kilmeade, I believe, was like a soccer coach for some kids team before he got signed with Fox News. Tomi Lahren became famous because she was on social media sticking guns into her pants down by her crotch. I mean, these two people are jokes. They're not journalists. They're not reliable sources. They're just Trump stooges. All right. Speaking of Trump stooges, Donald Trump is now, I think, on his third or fourth CDC head because they either get fired or they quit. The latest one is Erica Schwartz, and she was testifying in front of a Senate hearing. And she promised the Republicans at this hearing that she would put a lot of attention into not disease, but abortion surveillance. Let's listen to her pledge her allegiance to this fascist tactic.
My commitment. Abortion surveillance is absolutely a critical component of what the CDC is currently doing. To your point, it may be moved to another agency within HHS. I also want, I agree, yes, I will look into that, but I also want to also make sure that certain states are not conflating emergency services and hiding abortions in that emergency services case definition. We need to make sure we're pulling out true abortions and making sure that we're really having clear case definitions regarding abortion so the data is actually accurate.
So she is desperate to find out exactly who's having an abortion and in which state, even though abortion has nothing to do with diseases. It should have nothing to do with the Center of Disease and Centers Control. Absolutely nothing to do with it. And it's a really sad fact that in the 19th century, in the 1800s, slave owners forced black women and black girls to give birth against their will. And that's exactly what Trump and the Republicans want to do. And that's exactly what Erica Schwartz is trying to help them do. So it's very sad to see a black woman assisting in this fascism by white men. Very sad. Alrighty, those are all the stories we have for today. We have links to all of our stories right below this video. Unlike the right-wing podcasters, we back up everything we say. Joe Rogan doesn't. Benny Johnson doesn't. Riley Gaines, Tim Pool, None of those people back up their claims. We do. Alrighty, I want to thank everybody who has subscribed. This is a young podcast, but we recently passed our 100 subscribers. And that was a huge milestone for a young podcast. When you start something like this, you don't know if it's going to be successful or not. So we want to thank everybody who has subscribed. If this is your first time watching, please like and subscribe, or you can hate and subscribe, or you can hate me and subscribe. Alrighty, we'll be back later with more stories.